Welcome back to Fold in the Cheese. It's your boy K-Troll on the mic today on this Tuesday, wrapping up Week 12 in the NFL, and I am joined, as always, in a bit of a throwback to my man, the Chandler, to my Joey.
Okay, you hide my clothes, I'm gonna do the exact opposite to you.
What are you gonna show me my clothes?
Hey, opposite is opposite.
He's got nothing!
Okay, buddy boy, here it is. You hide my clothes, I'm wearing everything you own.
Oh my God! That is so not the opposite of taking somebody's underwear.
Look at me, I'm Chandler. Could I be wearing any more clothes?
We're talking Friends today. Ethan Gelfand. E, what's happening?
Could I be wearing any more? Actually, that was Joey. So never mind. That's not Chandler.
Joey.
Nothing much, man. You know, after Thanksgiving, hope you had a great one with the crew. And now we're all back here, back to our lives. But yeah, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. I was having a bit of a coughing attack before the pod here, and may have one during the pod as well. Don't know why I have that. I've been off and on sick for the last month, basically. So tis the season. It's going around my house. Who knows?
Fair. Okay. So off and on for the past month. That's exactly what you want to hear.
Pretty much. And I will say, like, ever since having COVID last year, I feel like my lungs are just like never going to be the same. I don't know. They're just like always like a little, like I might randomly just start coughing. I'm just like, what is that? Why am I doing that?
That's also being old. I just feel like just things just
so?
start aching and hurting. It's like your lungs like, let's just not be good anymore. Like I'll get winded walking up the stairs. Granted, that's also because I'm out of shape. But you know, it's like,
well, yeah,
ooh, those stairs get steeper.
I have been using COVID as an excuse of why I'm out of shape. I'm like, I'm not out of shape. It's COVID has messed me up long term.
There it is.
Because I'll get winded and I'll be like, oh, I've been winded ever since COVID. And like, you've also like gotten fat and drank a lot and
those COVID lungs.
I've not been working out as much as you should.
COVID lungs.
COVID lungs. Scarred for life.
Possibly.
Who knows? So Thanksgiving, I talked to you about this offline a little bit. Thanksgiving was a bit wild for you.
Yes, it was. Speaking of being sick, so we were supposed to go up north to the Seagerts to see them in northern Michigan. But then the morning we were going to go, well, actually, so Brady had been sick. He missed those first 2 days of school of Thanksgiving week. So we're like, let's just be safe, keep him out, get healthy so we can go up there. But he just was not getting better. So unfortunately, we had to split. So Kirsten and Addison went up north and Brady and I stayed home. So we had a very low-key Thanksgiving, watched a lot of TV, some football. So that was actually a nice added bonus because I don't always get to watch as much football as I do. So, but yeah, so the girls had a good time up north, and then we were down here just laying low. Although I did on Thanksgiving morning go out and buy it because I'm like, you know what? It's Thanksgiving. I still want turkey. So I went out and bought a fresh turkey on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow. Was it like already cooked or it was like
No, it was just, not frozen, basically. I'm saying it wasn't a frozen turkey.
Oh, not a frozen turkey. Oh, wow.
Yes. So
surprised you could still find it.
Like, I went to the store. I called them first. So I'm like, I'm not just going to go to the store with my sick kid just to see if there's a turkey and they don't have one. Like, yeah, we do. So I came on down. And it was like on a 90% sale because of the day of Thanksgiving. I'm like, this is the best. I should do all my
$4 turkey.
Yeah. So granted, it was a 15-pound turkey for us. So we had lots of leftovers. I'm still knocking them out, but it was delicious. Delicious.
That is epic. And like every year I feel like I start hearing more and more like, you got to get your turkeys early. They said they're going to be a shortage every single year. That they're everywhere. Every time I go to the store in the last 3 weeks, I've seen piles of turkeys everywhere.
Oh, yeah. There was no shortage the day of. So next time, maybe just do it on the day of Thanksgiving. And it's way cheaper. And there weren't that many people. So easy as pie.
Yeah. I will say my wife was telling me about something kind of funny that President Obama used to do. I guess he used to make a bunch of dad jokes when he was pardoning the turkeys, as president. Right. A bunch of dad jokes. And I think one thing he said was like, this is the last year I'm going to do it. And so I'd like to keep the tradition going after I'm president. And he's like, my daughters are always giving me grief about all these dad jokes and all that. But I said, hey, I can't just quit cold turkey. Great dad joke. Great.
Got him. Got him.
I would say if I was president, that would be like my last executive order. Like executive order 1 billion. forevermore, I can pardon a turkey every year.
Just as a normal citizen, just walk up
Just
like
normal citizen. Yeah.
pardoned.
I have the authority
Thank
to
you.
pardon one turkey a year, and I get to name it too because the names are always hilarious. They're like
That's true.
Pepper or
I'll
something
tell you what
random.
though, man, turkeys are kind of mean. Like they're just kind of mean, vicious birds. So I know we've talked a little bit how I've started going hunting on these hunting weekends, and there'll be a lot of times where I'll see a ton of turkeys that are just kind of like walking by, and they're always in huge groups. It's like usually 5 to 6 turkeys at a time, and they're big. I'm like, dang, if I wasn't going for a deer, I might get one of these turkeys instead. But there's been times where there'll be like 6 or 7 does on the field, and then these turkeys come out and just start fighting with the deer. Like they're just pecking at them, and it's like, you're like, what the hell is happening? So
I
turkeys are jerks.
feel like I would jerk turkey. Yeah, I feel like that's one of our favorite signs at Publix now. Whenever we go to the grocery store, they're always
Jerk
advertising
turkey.
jerk turkey, which we started calling our kids jerk turkeys.
Stop being a
But
jerk turkey.
I feel like I would just shoot the turkey and be like, no, I was aiming for a deer, and as I let go, it
It
jumped
just
in front of it, and I just tagged it, and I don't know what to do. I mean, it would be wasteful to not eat it, right,
I mean,
and to
it's
not
turkey.
take it back.
True.
I don't know.
Just saying. Just saying.
Jerk turkeys.
Jerk turkeys. They are jerks. Huge jerks.
Well, Thanksgiving was not as eventful on the sick front for us. We made it in the clear. We had a flu going around early that we got over just in time. So we were in the clear there, had a great time with extended family, 29 of us all
Dang.
together. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty
That's
wild.
a
It got
lot.
pretty out of hand as it does. But watched a ton of football, and we had some great games on Thursday
We
in the
did.
NFL. Every one of them was within a touchdown. I mean, that was really good football. We had some great college games this weekend, some wild upsets. The playoff picture's getting clearer. We got championship weekend coming up, and then some good football on Sunday too. So I mean, it was
Just a
all
great
around good
football
weekend, man.
weekend. Yeah.
Exactly
True.
what you want.
Very true.
And then even a thriller on Monday night last night, and we'll get to that
Such a
on
gross,
Thursday's episode.
gross thriller. Bleh. Bleh.
But let's talk through around the league and some injury news. So the first thing I would mention before we get to the injuries, Melvin Gordon, very predictably, as we called out on the
We
show, I
called
feel like
it.
we're the first ever to predict this. He signs with the Chiefs. He's on the practice squad for now. Probably make a playoff run and be like a superstar. Who knows? Who knows? But we knew that was coming. It's a double revenge. He's got revenge now against the Broncos and the Chargers. Perfect.
Perfect. I mean, again, as we talked about in the other episode where we correctly predicted he was going to the Chiefs, it's just one of those signs like, yep, it's a smart, savvy move. He's not going to be the star, but he's just one of those veteran presences who's got a lot of talent. Yes, he's on the practice squad. He's going to be elevated pretty soon here. And yeah, he'll just ride the coattails till they go to a Super Bowl, maybe get a ring. So, whoo, that's a good ride for him.
It's a good ride for him. I don't think that Pacheco is going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, he's been running really well. So Panchero, sorry. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. So I don't think this is like a huge threat, but it could end up eating into his time. Jerick McKinnon's been really involved in the passing game too. So it just makes a already kind of crowded running back room even more crowded. But I think it means a lot too for CEH though. Like
true.
CEH has fallen out of favor there.
100%. But I think what you're also seeing at this point in the season is depth is huge. I mean, how many running backs are going down and you're going towards your second, your third backup running back? So to have a Melvin Gordon as your third or fourth option, that's money in the bank right there. So it's just crazy how all these running backs are getting hurt and that you're going to these third tier guys.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that in the notable performances because the top 10 running backs this week were hilarious. So they look like a tight end list, honestly.
True.
On the injury front, speaking of which, Elijah Mitchell, one of the big names, sprained MCL, probably done for the year, 6 to 8 weeks injury. You could see him back in the playoffs if they make a run, but that sucks because he just came back and he was adding a nice burst on the ground to complement CMC. Jordan Mason, the rookie, was the guy who stepped up in his absence. Tyrion Davis-Price was a healthy scratch for this last game. So not sure exactly who's going to get more reps of those two when Davis-Price is activated. Earlier in the season, Davis-Price seemed to be more favored than Mason. I don't know.
So here you wonder, do you think they regret trading Jeff Wilson?
Yeah, for sure. I thought that was a weird move anyway. I mean, I got it from the standpoint of the
Christian
Dolphins
McCaffrey.
wanting him, but I didn't understand why you would give away that depth in San Francisco.
We'll talk about the depth. And especially when you got someone like Christian McCaffrey, who was already injury prone, and obviously Elijah Mitchell is always hurt. Like, why don't you just bring back Raheem Mostert, just get the all injury prone team, and yikes.
The 49ers have the most injured running backs the last 3 years I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They're always somebody's hurt. So I would not trade away any depth if I was them. But they must feel pretty good about the rookies they've got. So
I
and Jordan
guess.
Davis ran well. Maybe he'll be fine. We'll see. CMC was dealing with knee soreness though, so he can't carry the ball 25 times. So it's not like it's all going to go to him. They've got to find someone else to elevate. So who knows? Maybe they'll make some calls over to the Jaguars if they're going to drop James Robinson, who was a healthy scratch, or to the Jets.
The Jets.
Who's a healthy scratch this week.
Yeah.
Whatever that was about.
Huh. Anyway, I feel like this is more the James Robinson we expected coming off the Achilles injury. It's like, dude, the first weeks 1 and 2 were just such an anomaly that it's just like, what is happening? Anyway, we digress. But
we'll get to him. We'll just go ahead and jump to him because Michael Carter left with a low ankle sprain, and they brought in a rookie, Bam Knight, Zonovan Knight, who's a rookie from NC State, and Ty Johnson, who both looked really good. James Robinson was a healthy scratch. Like if Carter misses time, I guess Robinson will get elevated again. I thought you go out and you trade for the guy. I thought he was going to have a role, and their schedule gets pretty light here for running back. And he had one bad game, like one terrible game where it was like 7 carries for 10 yards against the Patriots. What do you expect? And then there's like healthy scratch. He's done.
You're done. We traded for you, but you're already in our bag races. So yeah, I don't get it. I mean, the Jets are just kind of in weird limbo anyway with their offense and their players and their skill positions. So it's just kind of par for the course. But yeah, it does seem odd that James Robinson being a healthy scratch, and then when Michael Carter goes down, you go into these rookies. But I don't know. Like, no one's job is safe. No one, basically, except for your top tier guys, no one has that credibility where it's like, nope, no matter what, you're fine. No, everyone's like, no, everyone's expendable. So we don't care who you are. So it's kind of weird.
You know what? Part of me is like glad though. Like part of me is like, that's how it should be, and that's how your fancy team should be. Like I'm tired
resumes, man, for that reason. Same idea.
I went on that whole rant last year. You told me you remember this. I went on a whole rant at the end of the year talking about how I held on to guys too long because the analysts were like, but it's Zeke, but it's Kyle Pitts, but it's I get it. I get they're talented. I get their name is great and all that. But like if they're not performing, I don't need them on my team. And I think the NFL is finally doing some of that too, which is not the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not. It's not. So
Aaron Rodgers hurts his ribs. He's getting more tests. We'll see if he can play. He said he'll play if he can. Obviously, it may be a pain tolerance thing. Jordan Love looked pretty good. Aaron Rodgers don't want to see him on the field, so I think he'll play if he can, but could definitely limit his mobility. I remember Drew Brees played through this injury quite a few times, actually, and they don't look quite the same when they've got rib injuries. Justin Herbert did it earlier this year.
I was just about to say with Herbert. Yeah, I mean, you're basically every contortion you're making is your ribs, but I mean, he's playing the Bears. He does own the Bears, so he wants to play against that game. So
he wants to.
That will be interesting to kind of track. But yeah, Jordan Love finally got to play, looked all right. Did you see the picture at the end of the game of the Eagles game?
I don't know. I don't think so.
So, obviously, like the quarterbacks all, come back, shake hands, and whatnot. So as they're walking away, there was a picture taken of Jordan Love's back and Jalen Hurts' back, and all I saw was Love Hurts.
Love Hurts. Oh, nice. Very nice.
Well played. Well played.
Very nice.
So it was cool.
Great job, Internet. Speaking of the Bears, who Rodgers owns, Darnell Mooney done for the year. Injures his ankle. He's going to have surgery. That sucks. They didn't have many pass catchers anyway, so I don't know what that means. I mean, Fields didn't play this week.
He didn't play this week. Yeah.
They're on a bye next week, not this week. So there's a chance Justin Fields will sit another week to get healthy. I probably would if I was the Bears, but we'll see.
And I mean, Darnell Mooney, Bears. It's so interesting that Darnell Mooney was he was like a hot name because he obviously had kind of that hot finish to the season last year. And then this year just kind of never found their footing. And then nice pun. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry about your ankle. Too bad for them.
For the year.
Really kind of the one weapon they kind of had in the receiver core. Too bad. I know where you were going. Former Bear, current Ram, Allen Robinson hurt himself in practice, not even in a game, out for the year.
We're talking about practice.
You know what? Good. Just be done with it. And I can at least
put you out of your misery, right? That's exactly how I felt about Kyle Pitts. It was the exact same thing where I was like, thank God, just be injured and be done. I don't want to have to think about you anymore.
Yes. So God, I really can't think of a Super Bowl winning team that has fallen the next year so far than the Rams have this year. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit of, it's always the Super Bowl runner-up who always has the
Yeah.
relapse the following year. It's 50-50 whether they make the playoffs, but very rarely do you see a Super Bowl champion. And again, the only one I can think of in recent memory, and it's just because it's my team. I know the Patriots, after they won in 01, they did not make the playoffs in 02. They just missed. They were like 9-7. So we'll have to kind of do a dive into Super Bowl winning teams not making the playoffs the next year. But I honestly can't remember one since then. So it's been over 20 years.
And the Rams would kill for 9 wins this year.
Yeah.
It literally not possible for them. I don't know, man. It's been one thing after another. I mean, some of it's injuries, but there's just bad play as well.
But
they have not looked good all year long.
You can say, yes, the injuries have piled up now, but for the first 6-7 weeks of the season, when they had their guys, they looked terrible. Like, they did not look good.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Anyway.
And at this point, their first pick's going to Detroit. So
Detroit is just going like, oh my gosh.
It's not like they're tanking for any reason, because they don't even get their pick. So
yeah, they won't try.
I don't know, man. We talked about Michael Carter. Travis Etienne left the game against the Ravens as well. Apparently, he was cleared to return. Could have gone back in, so that's a good sign. They were just being cautious with him, which I think is very smart. JaMychal Hasty looked pretty good in his absence, so that's a name to keep on your radar, especially for a depth if you want to just back up your running backs. I mean, this is the time of year when you might need to use those roster spots on handcuffs, just making sure your team's safe in case something like this happens, because if he's out for the year or something, that waiver wire, JaMychal Hasty will be gone in a heartbeat. So you don't have time to wait until the injury happens.
True.
And same thing with Najee Harris. So in Monday Night Football, Najee Harris, some abdomen injury, waiting to hear more about that. Benny Snell looked really good. They've got Jalen Warren, who was out last week with a hamstring. So I guess if he comes back, he's going to be the guy. But Benny Snell looked good. I don't know. He's going to get some touches.
Yeah, Najee Harris has just been so disappointing this season. I know the Steelers obviously have taken a step back just offensively in general, but to kind of see his regression has been very disappointing. Kyle Seager, well done. You passed on him and said we went Jamar Chase, who got hurt, but we're not going to talk about that different scenario. But yeah, Najee, one of the more disappointing first, second round picks.
Yeah, totally agree. He was starting to turn things around a little bit here the last couple of games. And I will tell you, I was kind of glad actually, because I was playing against him in 2 leagues last night, and I needed him under about 20 points.
Same.
And so he had a touchdown early, and I was like, oh no, here we go.
I was the exact same. I went to bed at halftime, and I was like, all right, he's within striking distance, so please. And then I woke up like, oh, we got no more points. All right, I'll take it.
Yep. And let me just say, we're going to get to some notable performances, and one of these was more notable, but the other one was just an eye test kind of thing. But you're going to roll your eyes at me. Trevor Lawrence and Kenny Pickett both look NFL ready to me. And I know Pickett's had a few errant throws, and he didn't have a ton of touchdowns or anything. I mean, hasn't had a multiple touchdown game yet, I don't think.
Right. He only has 3 on the year.
Watching him play though, first off, there were several drops, including a touchdown that Deontay Johnson dropped. Even George Pickens dropped a couple, including a touchdown that he could have caught. But I think Pickett looks pretty poised. He's mobile. He's a similar game to Trevor, I think. Trevor looked awesome against the Ravens. He put that team on his back, man, and he dominated at the end of that game. I watched watched the end of it after the Titans game was over. They rolled to that, and it was like, yeah, this dude looks legit right now.
Well,
I think you're seeing flashes of that with him.
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy that everyone's been expecting, that number 1 pick, the highly most touted player since Andrew Luck going 1 overall. I mean, everyone was just waiting for this Trevor Lawrence to show up, and it's finally coming. It has been a little up and down this season, as expected. This is basically his rookie year, as everyone's joking that last year didn't count. So, but you're right. This is finally the Trevor Lawrence we want to see, and hopefully it continues, and I think it can.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it may happen in the same timeline, but I think Kenny Pickett's going to be, much as I hate the guy, I think he's going to be a stud. I really do.
Okay.
I think he's more Trevor than he is like Daniel Jones,
Okay. I can see that. that.
But speaking of studs, how about Mike White?
Mike
White with 315 and 3 touchdowns. Come on, man. Get the guy in the game. Let him play.
I think I saw a stat. It was since 1995, there have only been 11 Jets players to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns since 95, which is insane. And
that's a long time.
Mike White has done it twice. Of those 11, Mike White's done it twice.
I don't know why you don't play him. I will say this, and I heard this on the Fantasy Footballers podcast, so I'm stealing their content, but I completely felt the same way going into this game. it kind of sucks that they bench Zach Wilson the week they're going to play the Bears, who are a completely depleted defense. Like
Right.
they bench him after playing like the Patriots, where you're like, obviously you're going to struggle. And then let Mike White come in and absolutely blow things up. I'm just
True.
like, is it really fair to Zach Wilson for because now the fans are just going to be like, oh, that's what I was talking about. Get Zach Wilson out of here. And it's like, man, that sucks for him. Like
That does suck
confidence
for him.
wise, he's already dealing with the yips. Apparently, I saw an article on that. He's like, he's legit got the yips.
Oh God. If you got the yips, you're done. I'm sorry. Like if you got the yips, name someone who has come back from the yips.
Golfers get it all the time. And so, you go through like pretty intense, like it's psychological treatment, therapy, like meditation.
I guess
It's
I
legit.
always think about the classic one being Chuck Knobloch, the second baseman for the Yankees, who just all of a sudden could not make the throw. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Obviously, Markel Fultz in the NBA. He was number 1 pick overall. As soon as he gets into the league, all of a sudden can't shoot. Like forgot how to shoot a free throw, and his career has not been great. So
It is wild, man.
If you have the yips as a young quarterback, you're done. I'm sorry.
Not looking good.
Struggling quarterback. It's not like he's been good and then all of a sudden, he never had it. So I'm sorry.
He showed flashes, but not enough. Not enough flashes.
Pro day doesn't count. His pro day.
No. There were some games. Obviously, first off, we all mentioned he was 5-2 as a starter, which is great, but that's not all on him. But you got to be able to manage a team well enough to win games. But there were times like I remember watching him play the Titans last year, and I was like, dang, this kid's got some game. And now the Titans made him look good, but you also have to make those throws when they're open. You have to use your legs and all that. So like there have been some signs that he could make it, but I agree. The yips this early on, especially in a major market, man, that's even tougher in New York.
New York.
Woof. It's gonna be rough. He's probably gonna have to go somewhere else and try it out.
He's
probably. How about Denver? How about Denver take a shot on him?
God.
Closer to home, BYU,
Can you imagine? That'd be hilarious.
Well,
speaking of with those Jets, that helped Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore kind of come back. Just they had someone who could competently throw them the ball. You're just looking at their body language. They're putting their hands up in the air when they're consistently getting overthrown by Zach. And so finally someone who can just deliver it to me. We're actually good here. Let us show what we can do. So for people who held on to these two, Elijah Moore was obviously a malcontent at the beginning of the season, but you're there. Might as well try and
Garrett
win.
Wilson started to get that way though too. First it was Denzel Mims, and then it was Elijah Moore, and then Garrett Wilson started to be like,
dude,
we suck.
Can someone just throw me the ball?
Yeah, so I think he's real happy. Elijah Moore's happy. If you saw the interview with Elijah Moore in the press conference, he was talking about. He's like, they're like, how did you feel like catching that touchdown? He's just like, man, I've been holding that ball at home, and I've been talking to her, and I said, I want to get back with you. Like he's like his girlfriend. It's really kind of funny. But yeah, big games from those guys. That was good to see. Yeah, Mac Jones went off.
He did.
Speaking of second year guys, just going off.
It was good to see that. It was good to see that just because he had been starting. Obviously, he had the injury and then on all that, but he had definitely taken a step back. To see what he was able to do was great. Unfortunately, they lost the game, but it wasn't because of him. He actually took care of the ball. That was the biggest thing this year. Was just the interceptions and the turnovers were ungodly. So the fact that he was a better manager, keeping control of the ball was a lot better. So I hope this is a sign of things to come because their defense is great, even though they struggled a little bit against the Vikings. But the biggest thing the Patriots have to deal with is the red zone efficiency. They are second to last in the league in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. And you saw that this game. You were texting me that during I picked Nick Folk. Let's go.
I know.
Because all they were doing were kicking field goals. They just had no efficiency. So great game, but moving forward, they got to figure out the red zone. Yikes.
Yeah, I hear you there. And Damian Harris, get him healthy, and he was the goal line back. He was a stud for that. Ramondre's playing his mind out of his mind.
Yeah,
but it'd be nice to have Damian back too, full strength, a reliable rushing threat. Christian Watson scored again, man. 4 for 110 and a touchdown. This dude is lighting it up right now. He is coming on as the Packers receiver you want to own. He scored his touchdown with Jordan Love in the game. Dude can blaze. He's
fast, man. He's basically a better Valdez-Scantling, a better Donovan Peoples-Jones. So it's that kind of caliber player where he can make the big plays. He's not going to get you a ton of receptions, but if he hits you on one of those home runs, watch out.
Yeah, he looks good, man. DJ Moore bounced back with Sam Darnold. How about Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold running for a
Didn't
touchdown.
rumble into a pile.
Yeah.
Proof
Sammy
that you
B.
can come back from the yips or whatever he had, because it's basically the yips.
He's
Seeing
just had
ghosts out there.
life yips, seeing ghosts. But
Life
no,
yips.
I was very intrigued to see what he was going to do. And honestly, I hope he wins the job. I don't know why or if I feel bad for him, about him. I mean, he was a good player at USC. Once again, you go to the Jets, which was a struggling organization at the time, picked third overall, and it's a tough market. You get shipped out unceremoniously, and just he started off kind of well in Carolina last year, and then
We
struggled
had
in
like
the
5
second half.
rushing touchdowns last year. Remember
Exactly, he
that?
was a top 7 fantasy
He was
quarterback.
freaking Michael Vick out there. Yeah.
And then, so anyway, I was glad to see him get the win. Definitely a surprising win, but hey,
Very
I'll take it.
surprising win. Yeah,
I'll
but
take
then
it.
again, Denver sucks. So what are you gonna do?
They do suck.
DeAndre Carter. I thought this was interesting. DeAndre Carter, who's a slot receiver for the Chargers, who had been filling in for Keenan Allen. Keenan comes back, has a good game. Mike Williams is out, so you think, oh, Josh Palmer's going to go off, and it was
Which
still
he
DeAndre
did.
Carter.
Which he did. Josh Palmer still went off.
Josh Palmer's still fine, but DeAndre Carter, 7 for 73 and a touchdown. I mean, that's legit right there.
And 10 targets. The fact they looked at him 10 times. So
10
yeah,
targets.
the fact that he
Yeah.
stayed relevant was intriguing.
Yeah.
I think I dropped him after last week, but it's okay.
I mean, I understand why you would. Who's not getting dropped? Josh Jacobs. Holy smokes. I think he had more points in this game than AJ Dillon has had all year. I mean, that I probably would have won the do-it bet just this week.
Honestly,
300 total yards? Are you kidding me?
Honestly, we'll get to it on the bet board just for the final one. But yeah, he had 49 fantasy points, and AJ Dillon has 98 for the season. So there you go.
Half of his points one game. Yeah.
Yep.
That's insane. We won't get to it in the do-it bet because that bet has been conceded. It is
Well,
done.
I'll show you what I did. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you want to just keep going, huh? You would.
No, it's the final week because in the wide receiver. Again, we'll see there.
It's the final week. Whatever. Anyway, 2 touchdowns, 229 yards on the ground, 6 for 74 receiving. I mean, he touched the ball 39 times. Holy cow.
That's a lot of times. 300.
That's a lot of times, a lot of yards.
Yeah, Mr. 300. So, dang. I mean, just keep feeding that man the ball. I mean, this is kind of the Raiders offense we wanted to see. Devontae Adams, Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, no Darren Waller, no Hunter Renfrow, but it shows you what they have the capability to do. And I know he's kind of getting a lot of his yards on a couple big plays, but it shows he can make them. Their line is good. And this is what is possible with the Raiders. And it just sucks. They put themselves so far behind the 8-ball at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. And you can't make a big play if you're not good. I mean, like, and he got like 80 yards on an overtime touchdown to win the game, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, he already had 140 yards, you know? It's not like it was all one play or 2 plays. And he's been doing it all year. So he's been a stud. He's playing for that contract, man.
Yeah.
He's getting that money. Miles Sanders also balled out. 21 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had those touchdowns early. Probably could have had 4 of them, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like a stud. He's had some really big weeks this year, too. I mean, he's really solidified himself as the guy. Last year, it was like Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, Randall McGranderson.
Don't remind me about him last year, but it's good to see that, as you said, he's solidified it because, as you said, he was splitting it all the time. So he's been probably one of the bigger surprises, other than like a Josh Jacobs. They were probably Josh Jacobs was going a few rounds higher, but Miles Sanders was one of those kind of Deebo Samuel type steals in the 9th, 10th round where, where the expectations weren't as high this year, which is probably good. And so if you get him then, he's been showing why he's a top 10 running back, and that's exactly how he's playing.
I think Ramondre Stevenson's in that same boat where he's going to have fantasy MVP caliber of numbers as far as like when you drafted him kind of thing. But listen to the top 10 of running backs this week. This is ridiculous. So Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Austin Eckler, top 3. No surprises there.
Right.
Then we got James Conner, Brian Robinson, and Nick Chubb. So we're all, we don't catch passes. We just plow.
Yeah, we're just running.
Nick Chubb makes sense, right? James Conner, Brian Robinson, a little surprising. JaMychal Hasty, Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad White, and Samaje Perine. That rounds out the top 10 in running backs this week. And every team played. So you had all 32 teams on the schedule.
Gross. Just gross.
Ridiculous, man. It's just ridiculous.
Injuries
happen.
I mean, with Rashad White, I mean, obviously Leonard Fournette was out, so he got the sole focus.
Hasty goes in because of ATN. You get that.
Same with Samaje Perine, Mixon being out. So there were some injuries out there. That's why you see these no-namers. But yeah, it's just kind of a gross week. but that's what we've kind of talked about with running backs all year. I know we always harp on tight ends that it's just basically you got 3 guys and everyone else is just garbage. But with the running backs, it's really been very top heavy this season. That you have like your maybe 5, 6 guys that you can kind of rely on. Then after that, it's literally a toss up, and
real
this week
hit or
is kind of
miss.
showing that. So it's frustrating, but it's not exciting, but it makes it intriguing. More of that chess game of who can find the right hot guy at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, there have only been a few truly reliable guys week to week, and some of the studs are at the very top, and then there's a big drop off between reliability,
Yeah, no question.
But speaking of that, let's
Yes.
talk about some blind resumes.
Blind resumes. Hey,
Do we have I forget, we have a little guy for that, don't we?
Oh, I'll get it.
Oh, we do. Here it is.
Oh, you got it.
Look at me go.
I see you.
Okay, so you were in the hot seat this week.
Ugh. Okay.
And I've got 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 receivers.
Ooh. All right.
How about that? Tell me what order you want here. Who you want to go with first?
Tight ends first.
Tight ends first. Okay. 1 catch, 7 yards, half a touchdown.
Jonnu Smith.
Every tight end in the league. Okay.
It's Jonnu. Let's go with running backs.
Running backs. Okay. Running back 1, 136 carries. Are you going to write it down?
Yep.
136 carries.
Yep.
761 yards.
Ooh, okay.
6 touchdowns.
Ooh, all right.
23 receptions, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
Running back 2. Same caveats as usual. Same number of games within 5 or 10 points of each other.
Even though I screwed you on that last week, my bad.
You did. That's okay. Running back 2, 178 carries.
Yep.
841 yards.
Ooh.
6 touchdowns.
Okay.
26 receptions.
Whoa.
160 yards, 1 touchdown.
Okay, so obviously one has a bigger carry volume. Getting a lot of more same amount of receptions, but fewer yards. In our PPR league, that's good, even if the yards aren't there. I feel like running back A or 1 seems like a Travis Etienne line, kind of like in that 700 yards, 200-ish receiving yards. Running back 2. I'm going to go with running back 2 just on the higher volume. I know the average isn't as good, but I like the higher volume and still getting those receptions.
Okay. Travis Etienne has 728 yards and 4 touchdowns and 22 receptions for 200 yards, but no touchdowns. So
that was like super right on there.
You were pretty right on minus touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that dropped him down 40 points from these guys.
Yeah, the touchdowns will do it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So running back 2, who you chose, is one of your favorites, Dalvin Cook.
I knew
it.
Yeah,
you got
Dalvin Cook.
You love him. Running back 1, who has 7 more fantasy points on the year, is Tony Pollard.
Oh, wow. Okay. I did not realize he had that many rushing yards already. Okay.
Yeah, because every time he touches the ball, I mean, look at that average too. That's like 6 yards a clip.
That is a ridiculous average.
He's balling out, man.
I had a feeling 2 might have been Dalvin, but I honestly thought he had more receiving yards. That's deceiving.
That has been disappointing. Having had him this year, I can tell you that's my biggest gripe is like get the ball in this guy's hands.
Yeah.
The rushing has been fine.
Yeah.
But that's game script dependent. If they're getting blown out by Dallas, for instance, start dumping the ball off to him in space.
True.
Been kind of frustrating, but he's been good. I think he's been good this year. They're both top 10-ish guys.
Yeah. Okay. Dalvin took him.
All right, you have Dalvin. All right, quarterback or receiver?
Receiver.
Receivers. Okay, wide receiver 1, 74 targets, 51 receptions, 652 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Okay.
Wide receiver 2, 92 targets.
Whoa.
59 receptions.
Ugh.
671 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Yikes. Oh, man, that is a lot more targets with not many more receptions.
Mm-hmm.
So their average is pretty similar, as are the number of touchdowns. But since those are similar, I got to go with the guy who's getting targeted more. So give me the 92.
Okay. Wide receiver 2, you were taking DK Metcalf of the Seahawks. I was a little surprised at the the target to reception there because Gino's been a really accurate quarterback
He
this year.
has been accurate.
He's been like 65-70% accuracy, which I
Man,
was surprised.
it's crazy. Before you keep going, like DK Metcalf is a guy that I just feel like I have not seen at all this year. I just feel like I
Yeah.
have not. His name has not been in my head, and I don't know if it's just that's the Russell Wilson effect that you don't think of it. But man, yeah, he's just has not been in my brain at all.
He's been solid all year.
Yeah,
He hasn't been lighting the
not
world on
flashy,
fire.
right?
And that's probably the difference. And I'd say like it's there are no like huge games where normally he's got like a 40-pointer, kind of like AJ
Yeah,
Brown. Honestly, I know they played together in college, but like kind of like AJ Brown, where you're like, yeah, there's 11 catches for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. There it is.
there
Like
it is.
DK hasn't had that this year. He's
No.
had no more than 23 points in a single game, but he's had a lot of like 15, 13 to 20. You're not like mad if you got him. You probably thought you reached a round or two early, but
Right.
he slipped some too. He was down in fifth, sixth round some places. So
True.
I don't know, probably doing fine. He's a number 20-ish receiver on the year, so you're not mad about that. Wide receiver one who you passed on is, you say his name wrong every time, Brendan Ayuk, who has
Hey,
3 more points than DK Metcalf. So 150.9 to 147.1. Brendan Ayuk very quietly, another guy you don't not saying much about,
true.
very quietly having himself a top 20 year.
Yeah, I mean, he's been I wouldn't say a surprise, but he's just been a good fit for the 49ers this season. Obviously, with Debo being hurt a little bit and sometimes running. Kittle finally, he didn't come back to the second half of the year, kind of. So yeah, he's getting a good cog for old Jimmy. Fun fact about Jimmy is through his first 59 starts as a 49er, he's tied for the best record with Steve Young at 40-19. Bet you wouldn't have expected that, huh?
Would not have known that.
Better record than Joe Montana through first 59 starts.
It's all because of how good Jimmy G is.
It's all Jimmy G. Just watch
I've
out.
basically put him on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks. It's like Montana, Young, Jimmy G. They're all Niners, and it's all the same, really.
Jeff Garcia,
Jeff
Nate
Garcia,
Mullins, Nate Sudfeld. I mean, whew.
Nick Mullins,
Yeah, no, Nate Mullins. I was thinking of Sudfeld.
Nate Sudfeld. Can't forget that Iowa dude. What was his name? CJ Beathard.
Oh, CJ Beathard. Ken
CJ
Dorsey has been
Beathard.
on there he was there for a few games.
That's right.
So watch
That's
out.
true. Okay,
Anyway.
before I give you quarterbacks, I need you to randomly talk for like 15 seconds while I let my dog in.
Okay. So, but going back to 49ers, I mean, growing up, I loved watching the 49ers play just because I guess that was probably the one true, my first football memory that I can recall because I can remember explicitly the 49ers were playing the Chargers in that Super Bowl. I think it was, what was it, 94, 95 when they played the Chargers.
Is
And
that the one that put up 50 points on him?
yes, that was a 55-point game. And I was like, this is amazing. Football is awesome. And
Football's
who's that number
great.
8? Who's his number 8 guy? I love him. And then since then, I just became a huge Steve Young guy.
Throws with the wrong hand. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, like my right hand, but he goes with the other one. What? And he could
Crazy.
run a little bit at the time. Mobile quarterback. So yes,
He was, man. He kind of
49er
revolutionized
Lord.
that.
49er
There was a
Lord.
cool segment. There was a cool segment that had Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Robert Griffin, and they were all talking to Jalen Hurts.
Yep, saw
I was
that.
watching that over Thanksgiving. That was pretty cool. And then of course they've got Steve Young, on the broadcast too, and he's talking about like getting even a little teared up, talking about like the change that has happened through some of those mobile quarterbacks and how it's changed the game. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's really fun to watch. Okay, let me give you some quarterbacks here.
Okay.
These guys are both mobile, but not
Ooh.
runners. We're not talking
Got it.
Justin Fields here, but these are both mobile. I think he got almost half.
We already did running backs, Kemper. We already did running backs. Not
True.
just...
Fine. Oh, fine. Oh, fine. Don't get salty. All right. Quarterback 1, 3,004 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks.
Okay.
128 rushing yards.
Okay.
Quarterback 2, 2,655 passing yards, 16 touchdowns and 6 picks. 179 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Big difference there.
So quarterback 1 had 0 rushing touchdowns, correct?
0 rushing touchdowns, quarterback 1. So the equalizer here is the 3 rushing touchdowns for quarterback 2.
Yes, because those account for the other 3. I am gonna go with me. I love my classic passers, so I like the guy with the more yards. So I'm gonna go with quarterback one who had 19 tosses, as opposed to the
That
three
is true.
rushing.
That is true. And that is a good call on the whole, but it's surprising. That quarterback one was Justin Herbert.
Okay,
Justin Herbert, 120 rushing yards. I thought he would have more than that, honestly, because I know he's capable. He was a runner in quarterback in college. Quarterback two, Trevor Lawrence. We talked about him earlier.
oh,
Trevor
okay,
Lawrence, not far off, about a point to a point and a half less per game, averaged out over the season. But
all right.
top 10, top 12 guy, rock
Huh,
solid.
that is rock solid. I guess I didn't think Trevor had 16, or I guess I would have expected Herbert to have more. But all right, those are
Yep.
both good choices anyway. All right, so my
Yep.
team is DK Metcalf, Dalvin Cook, and Justin Herbert. I like it.
Yeah.
I
The
like
the
it.
big names. The big names. And I'll
Yeah.
take the surprises.
So
Brandon
you got
Ayuk, Trevor Lawrence, and Tony Pollard.
all right. From here on out, let's see those teams go.
Let's track them.
Let's track the
Hell,
hell.
why
That
not?
should be the new kind of do it. Since we're, let's just jump into the do it bet. I know we're supposed to do waivers, but that was kind of a good segment.
Okay.
That's a good transition because honestly, that might not be bad because Trevor Lawrence is still in it. But anyway,
Well, as
so
long
let's
as
do
we
the
don't have like the bye weeks to deal with, that would work.
true. All right. So talking about the do it bet board. So let's just add it up there. So this is why. So I've officially, we have officially each conceded running back and wide receiver. But here's why I just tracked this
You
week.
didn't need to
Because
do this.
I did because AJ Dillon finally had a good game. So I was like, the 1 week he finally has a good game. But then of course Josh Jacobs has like the monster game. So I just wanted that's crazy. Besides week one where AJ Dillon had 20 points, 17 was this past week. That was the only other game in double digits, which is just crazy. So yes, you had conceded running back last week. And I have now officially because of injury conceded
Yes.
receiver.
Yes. T.
Since
Higgins with another strong week.
yes, as you see, I just put RIP for him. He is toast. So yes, it has come down to our quarterback. So that's why, honestly, this blind resume might be a good a new do a bet board. Just because no fun to only do quarterbacks now. So we'll talk about it off air and we'll let the listeners know.
Okay. Okay.
But anyway, going back to quarterbacks. So Jared Goff had a solid week, 21.6 points, excuse me. But Trevor, as we talked about, had a great game, 31.9 points. So it brings his lead up to 21 points. So Trevor Lawrence has 224 on the year and Jared Goff has 203. So striking distance, it's tough to make. We need Lawrence to have a stinker, but yeah, it's at least within striking distance. It's relatively close. So that's good. That is good.
Yeah, I think Lawrence is trending in the right direction.
Yes,
he's been pretty solid all year, honestly, but he's had a couple of stinkers.
Only 2 games under 10. The third being 11-point games, not much greater. But as you said with Jared Goff, he had 2 outliers being 35 and 42 points. So other than that, he's had 2 games under 10, but kind of then in that 15, 16-ish range, which you want a little higher. So
yeah, I think Goff is 15 to 20 nearly every week, and Lawrence is
10 to
15 to
28.
30. 15 to 30, kind of. So he's got more upside.
True. And then going back to our do it bet of the week. So we did a draft for Monday night, and you had the first overall pick, and you chose Jonathan Taylor, if I do remember correctly.
That is correct. He had the highest score of all 4 that we picked. He was the highest scorer.
And I had the next 2 picks, and so I went double quarterback. I went Kenny Pickett and Matt Ryan, and then you finished up with Najee. So here's what's wild is my 2 quarterbacks scored the exact amount of points. They both had 12.16 points, which is terrible for a starting quarterback.
Right.
So I ended with 24.32 points. So your boy Najee got knocked out. So he had 10.9. It's going to be close. But your boy Jonathan Taylor picked up the slack with 18.8 points to give you a total of 29.7. So you were the victor for this do it bet of the week.
Do it.
We'll do it.
Do it.
Well done.
Champion.
Okay.
That makes up for Quadfather having to quit.
Having to quit.
He'll come on as it gets cold. It won't matter.
All
Let's
right.
talk about some waivers for the
Couple
people.
waivers. Yes.
Give them what they want. So we talked about injuries earlier, and I think as a broad piece of advice, I would say this is a good time to start backing up your studs
Start
with
getting some
handcuffs and even other people's handcuffs. Honestly, like you're probably past the trade deadline in a lot of leagues, so you're not going to have to worry about that as much. But like, get these second string running backs that have the potential if they're given the opportunity, because they're going to be valuable if someone goes down, especially. So all that being said, I think you've got to look at Bam Knight. His name's Zonovan Knight, so it's like Donovan with a Z. If he's in your system, it's Zonovan Knight that he goes by Bam. You got to look at him for the Jets, filling in potentially for Michael Carter. He looked really good. He looked like the guy. Ty Johnson got some run too. They split the carries, but Bam Knight, I think they'd love to get a better, longer look at him. Same thing with Benny Snell. Like I mentioned earlier, Jalen Warren might be back this week, and if he is and he's available, he might be a better pickup. But if Najee has to miss any time, you never know with those abdominal injuries. You never know what that could be. It could be a core muscle. It could be a surgery. Kenneth Walker dealt with that early in the season. It could be something internal, which we really worry about, like his spleen or something random. So be careful there. And then Jordan Mason in San Francisco, it seems like based on this past game, because he was active and maybe he has some special teams work, I don't know, but he was the number 2 guy after Mitchell went out. Don't be surprised if Tyrion Davis-Price gets in there and gets in the mix too. Watch the reports on that. Yeah, well, Debo's obviously going to get more work too.
Yeah.
In the wide receiver room, Zay Jones, second straight week with 10-plus targets. And Trevor's coming on. Zay is coming on. Christian Kirk is still their guy, but Zay is a very nice 1B to Christian Kirk. He's getting it done. Traylon Burks had another good game. Quietly, he didn't score, but I think it was like he did get a touchdown because he fell on a Derrick Henry fumble. And so his points were like 17 points or something, but he was like 4 for 70, I think, in the receiving game. He's still definitely their number 1 target, though. He's a playmaker.
But if you're good at picking up fumbles, that's a great addition.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. So I like Traylon Burks. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. I don't think Garrett Wilson's going to be available. Elijah Moore very well might be.
He will be.
Worth a speculative ad, man. If Mike White's going to keep this job for a while, he's going to be slinging it. So Elijah Moore could have a nice finish to the year. In New York, Darius Slayton and Richie James. They're the last remaining receivers for the Giants. Slayton has been really solid all year, like 10, 15 points pretty much every game. Richie James is double digits the last couple as well, since Wan'Dale Robinson went out. So, again, if you need a plug-in, which, like, I've got Curtis Samuel, I can't start him anymore. I mean, he's not touching the ball anymore. He's like 3 carries or something and no receptions. I don't feel good about that.
Going back to the Giants, do you think if they cut Kenny Galladay and then let's say he'll say, I'll sign with any team for a ham sandwich, do you think the Lions would pick him up?
No. Why would they?
For a ham sandwich?
Truthfully. They got Jameson Williams coming back. They don't need Kenny Galladay. Let's move on from the past. I think that's kind of the Lions.
That's probably a better idea
right now.
True.
Yeah, move on. No one would pick him up, I don't think. He's awful. He's worse than Allen Robinson.
Yes,
by like 100.
By 100-fold.
Yeah. But speaking of Allen Robinson, Van Jefferson, he got 7 targets this week with Bryce Perkins under center. So someone's got to catch passes. They have to complete, 10, 15 passes a game. You got to figure.
Hope he gets all 10.
Someone's going to be throwing to somebody. Van Jefferson's, I think they're de facto number 1 right now. So yikes. I don't know. Again, you could be worse off, I guess, if you're desperate. Like, you got to look into it. Ben Skoranek has done nothing.
No,
nothing.
He hasn't.
So I'm out on him.
Out there.
I'm out on him.
Yeah.
And then quarterbacks, Mike White. If you need to stream, man, Mike White gonna be slinging it. Let's go. Kenny Pickett could be a nice streamer against Atlanta this week. I think he could get more than 1 touchdown this week. This could be the week. Could be the breakout. We'll see. And then of course Deshaun Watson is.
He is back this weekend.
I'm curious how the NFL had that 11 game suspension.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's just add that on to us. Oh, who are you playing? Houston. Oh,
gosh. Houston. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What are the odds?
So, yeah.
Okay.
He'll be back. I'll be interested to see how it plays.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. I saw you picked him up, so you might be starting him, especially if your boy Justin Fields is going to be out. But Trevor's been good.
There's no morality. There's no morality in fantasy football.
No morality in fantasy football. It's all about getting points. So that's all they can do.
There's a morality vacuum. I got Justin Fields, man. I got to worry. But then again, Trevor Lawrence balled out for me this week, so yeah. I'm not going to start Deshaun Watson if I got Trevor in a good matchup.
QB controversy in the Boobie Miles team. Watch out.
That's right. That's right.
Well, good. Glad to hear you had a great Thanksgiving. We got recap of all week 12. Got some waiver targets, blind resumes. My gosh, just everything. So next episode, we're going to be going to be breaking down all the games for week 13, doing our pigskin pick'em, see who's leading in that. So until next time, keep on folding.
Fold it.